During the 2020-2021 NBA season, when James Harden requested a trade from the Houston Rockets and then ultimately ended up forcing his way out of Houston, it put a franchise that had seen the playoffs for a handful of years, a handful of consecutive years, being led by James Harden, who at the time was a generational player and one of the best scorers of all time. When you lose something like that, it sent the Houston Rockets straight into rebuilding mode. And when you're in rebuilding mode, you're usually at the bottom of the NBA. And when you're at the bottom of the NBA, you're getting a lot of lottery picks. And we have to give the Houston Rockets a bunch of credit. We have to give this front office a bunch of credit because they've been doing a great job acquiring young talent during their rebuilding phase. One thing that the Houston Rockets have done a great job of is selecting the right talent at the top of the draft when they get their initial pick from the draft lottery. In 2021, they selected Jalen Green with the number 2 overall pick, who's going to be, I think, a special player in this league one day. In the 2022 NBA draft, they get the 3rd overall pick, who was Jabari Smith Jr. 2023, they got Amin Thompson with the number 4 overall pick. So they've done a great job at the top of the draft, but then they've also done a great job in the later stages of the first round or going into the second round. We go back to that 2021 NBA draft. They get Alperen Sengun with the 16th overall pick, who a lot of people consider to be the best player and the best talent on the Houston Rockets of right now. We go to that 2022 NBA draft. Later in that first round, they get Tari Eason, who I consider to be a steal in the NBA draft. I'm a huge fan of Tari Eason, and I think he has so much potential. We go to 2023, to the 2023 NBA draft, which wasn't really a hard steal for the Houston Rockets. Cam Whitmore, who was supposed to be a top 5, top 6 pick, a lottery pick, he fell all the way down to number 20 into the hands of the Houston Rockets. And now we get to the 2023 NBA draft, where the James Harden trade is paying off for the Houston Rockets. This year, that number 3 pick was turned out to be Reed Sheppard. That would have went to the Brooklyn Nets, but instead, due to that trade, the Nets owed that pick to the Houston Rockets, and they turned that into Reed Sheppard, who right now a lot of people are calling the best player in this NBA draft based off what we've seen so far in the first few days of the summer league. So you can also consider that a steal, considering that the two teams ahead of the Houston Rockets could have selected Reed Sheppard. So the Houston Rockets, things are just falling in the right line for this team. I think they're doing things perfectly. Looking at the season that they had last year, being competitive, almost getting to that 10th seed, challenging the Golden State Warriors at the end of the season, I think we can make the case and make the statement that Reed Sheppard is the missing piece that the Houston Rockets needed. And I think when we consider everything for the Houston Rockets, I think it's safe to say that this is a team that's no longer in the rebuilding phase and that they're ready to compete for a playoff spot. And we saw a flash of it last year. They finished with a record, a 500 record, 41-41 for the first time in a few years, and they were very competitive towards the end of the season. They almost chased down the Golden State Warriors for that 10th spot in the Western Conference, but ultimately came up short. But they were one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, 9th in the league when it came to defensive rating, and they were also one of the best teams in the NBA when it came to rebounding. They ranked 3rd in the league in total rebounds per game, but one side that they struggled with was on the offensive side of the ball. It wasn't really that fluent consistently all season long on the offensive side of the ball for the Houston Rockets. They were towards the bottom of the league in offensive rating at 20th, three-point shooting at 23rd, and with total assists per game, I believe the Houston Rockets ranked like 25th or 27th. So things were not flowing well on the offensive side of the ball, but with the emergence of what we saw from Jalen Green towards the end of last season, we know how special Alperen Sengun is. Getting guys like Cam Whitmore back full-time, Tari Eason back full-time, and then also the addition of Reed Sheppard, I think we're going to see a much better fluent team on the offensive side of the ball for the Houston Rockets going into next season. Now, the focal point of this video is Reed Sheppard. He's getting a lot of buzz, not just from the Houston Rockets fans. The Houston Rockets fans knew from day one what kind of player they were getting with Reed Sheppard, but now the rest of the NBA world is getting hip to Reed Sheppard, and he's going to be able to come in right off the bat looking at him playing in college, looking at how he's been in the summer league, he's going to be able to come in immediately and crack that rotation for the Houston Rockets. And that's a given, right? The number 3 overall pick, you don't draft them to come and sit them on the bench. But it looks like Reed Sheppard, he's not going to come in and just crack that rotation, but he's going to be able to come in and actually make an impact. We talked about the Houston Rockets. They're struggling on the offensive side of the ball, or struggling with the three-point shooting. Reed Sheppard, he was the best shooter in the nation by far last year at the University of Kentucky. He shot over 50% from the field and over 50% from the three-point line. And it's not like he was just getting up 1 or 2 threes per game. Three-point shooting is the best part of his game, and he was ultra efficient from there. So he's going to be able to knock down that three-point shot off the catch, off the dribble. And then watching Reed Sheppard in college, watching him in the summer league, he has range on his three-point shot. So when you can shoot that three-point shot from deep, it really makes the defense have to guard you differently. So that's why his three-point shooting, it's not just gonna affect the three-point. It's not just gonna affect the three-point shooting, but it's gonna affect all those other things we were talking about with the Houston Rockets, with the assists per game, with the offensive rating. Because when you have a guy out there that's stretching the floor, it just opens so many things up for everyone else. Now certain guys are getting one-on-one situations. Now you can't double team off guys like Jalen Green, or you can't double team guys off Alperen Sengun, because right next to him, or Reed Sheppard, somewhere where they can make an easy skip pass for him, and he's one of the best shooters. He's one of the best shooters in the NBA. So that right there in itself is going to open things up a lot for the Houston Rockets. And then also he can do so much more with the ball. And in my first couple videos talking about Reed Sheppard, I called him a combo guard. He's a combo guard. I know he's 6'1", 6'2", so he's kind of shorter, but I call him a combo guard because he's so effective off the ball, but he's also effective with the basketball in his hands. He showed flashes of this at Kentucky, but so far with the Houston Rockets, he's kind of been the full-time ball handler, and he's done a great job at making plays for himself and making plays for each other. Now, when I've been scrolling on social media, looking at the comments through YouTube videos of his highlights, a lot of people are comparing him to Steve Nash with the way he's making passes, with the timing he's making passes, the way he's playing defense. So his playmaking abilities are off the charts. Watching him with Cam Whitmore has been very fun. They've easily been the most exciting duo in the summer league so far. So his playmaking ability, the ability to make a bounce pass, the ability to make lobs, the ability to play the two-man game. And that's another thing. Watching him in that two-man game, he does a great job of doing what guards do in the NBA. When he's in that two-man game, he knows how to get a guy on his hip and do the crab dribble and wait and be patient and see how the defense is going to react, so he can make the right move and make the right read. And we said this in our first draft video on him. Reed Sheppard, he's one of those guys that knows how to play the game of basketball. He knows how to hoop. He knows how to make the right pass. If we was going to the Y and there was a bunch of guys there and my little brother wasn't there, whenever I go hoop, I always pick up my little brother first, no matter what. But let's say we go hoop and my little brother is not there and I'm capped, my first pick would be Reed Sheppard, because he can shoot, he can pass, and he's not a ball hog. And then outside of that, a lot of people were questioning how he's going to be on the defensive side of the ball because of his size, but he is an active and engaged defender. And I say this all the time. I think 95% of these guys in the NBA are good defenders. Some guys are just smaller, and when you're smaller, there's really nothing you can do against a guy that's 6'8", 6'9". But Reed Sheppard, he's going to be okay on the defensive side of the ball. So far in the summer league, he's been really active with getting steals and blocks, being an on-ball defender. He's getting steals in the passing lanes. He's getting on-ball steals. He's blocking shots. He's blocking shots around the rim. So he's been really engaged on the defensive side of the ball. His summer league stats are very, very impressive. He's averaging 20-plus points, 4-plus rebounds, 4-plus assists, and then he's also shooting 49% from the field and 38% from three-point land. He's easily, him and Dalton Connect from the Los Angeles Lakers, I think they've easily been the best two players in the summer league so far. I know Zach Edey dominated an NBA center, a really good NBA center in Walker Kessler, his first game, but he's been out with injury. He had 16 points and 15 rebounds his first game, but I think from what I've seen so far, I think we can say that Reed Sheppard is the best player in the summer league so far. He could potentially be the best player in this draft class, giving the Houston Rockets once again another steal. So you add Reed Sheppard to what the Houston Rockets already have. They already have two stars that can dominate with the ball in their hands, Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. What Jalen Green did at the end of last season, man, it was so entertaining watching him get to work and cook up. You have defenders all over the place. You have Dylan Brooks, you have Jabari Smith Jr., you have Tari Eason, you have Cam Whitmore, you have Amen Thompson, you have rebounders everywhere. You have guys that can knock down wide open 3-point shots. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason. Now you have Reed Sheppard, you have Fred VanVleet, you have shooters all over the place. You have playmakers in Amen Thompson, Fred VanVleet, Reed Sheppard, Alperen Sengun, and then they have rebounders. They have Alperen Sengun, and then they have all these athletic wings. Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason. Tari Eason is one of the best rebounders in the NBA, and he doesn't get that. He hasn't played that many high NBA minutes yet, but he averages a lot of rebounds in the short amount of time that he's out on the court. So the Houston Rockets, I think it's fair to say that this team is no longer rebuilding. They're in a really good state that they're in right now, and I think they're going to be putting on a show next season. It's going to be fun to really watch these guys in the half-court sets and also watching them get out on the fast break. So that's what I wanted to talk about with you guys today. The Houston Rockets, they continue to excellently pick in the NBA draft, and they've done a great job developing this young talent, getting some good veterans around them, Jeff Green, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks. So that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. Leave a like if you enjoyed, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.